Great, so coming back now to the real TEDx here. So today I want to share more with you about a few ideas that you already saw, and I want to elaborate more on the power of questions. So we're gonna try to see what questions are. We're gonna try to see if questions are important, and if they are important, what is the value that they hold. Okay, so many questions already, so buckle up. What questions are? So question is basically, it's a life skill. Same like maybe like reading or writing, but it might come as a bit more strange skill than this, because in one way it might come that questioning comes natural to us, but in the same time questioning requires our ability to organize our minds around something that we don't know that much about. When I first became interested about this subject of questioning, I still remember the first question that came to my mind, and it was like something like, what is the deal with these questions? What's the deal? And of course, by this question, I didn't find out that much, because it was not very structured, it was not very clear. So it took me time to reformulate my question, to restructure them, and I'm still doing that in order to get more insight and more knowledge about the subject. So now looking at the English meaning of we see in the word of question, there is the word quest, which really means with every question we take a journey, we do a search that could end up in finding a treasure. There is this one comes from the Right Question Institute. There is an institute on questions that study questions. They do great work with some teachers and they try to learn the students to become better questioners. And they say think of questions like flashlights. Flashlights that illuminate the darkness, illuminate the path towards the truth that we're going to discover with our own eyes. Because once we question, once we get involved, once we challenge, we don't take for granted other people's view of the world. We get involved and we get to see the world with our own eyes. Right, so now let's see if questions are important. And for this, let's take it a bit more extreme. Let's imagine a world without questions. How would that look like? So just answers, statements, comments, no questions. No marriage proposals. It might be, we still have marriages, but no proposals. You want to ask a friend how is he feeling? Forget about that. Curiosity is extinct, probably innovation as well. Boredom all over. Now take this world of no questions and go and tell about it to Socrates, who was one of the first ones who saw the power of questions, and he also actually developed the Socratic questioning method. Or tell it to Voltaire, another philosopher and writer French, who has one of the nicest quotes about questions. We saw it in the video. Judge a man by his questions rather than by his answers. Or take this word and tell it to Einstein. Einstein who became like the logo of questioning. He was so into questioning, and actually there is now, every year there is a questioning day celebrated on the 14th of March, which is the birthday of Einstein. Or take this word and tell it to John F. Kennedy, the US president, who used the power of questions to challenge the entire nation to act for a greater good. When he said in his famous speech, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Or tell it to Steve Jobs, who once said, if this would to be your last day on this earth, would you still do what you are doing right now? And if your answer is no, several days, then you might think of changing what you do. Or tell it to Elon Musk, the great crazy inventor that we have right now. Or tell it to Google. CEO of Google says Google is a company that runs on questions, not on answers. They have an ad, and they close this ad saying a question is the most powerful force in the world. So if all these great minds, and I'm sure many others, believe in the power of questions, I think it's something worthwhile thinking about it. Finally, take this word and tell it to your children. Tell your kids that they need to live in a world without question. And I'll bet that they will answer somewhere into some form of that they don't want to live in such a world. And side note, I've tested this. My junior is 7. So a few nights ago, I go to him and I say, I've heard something. And then I paused, because I wanted him to get engaged. And I studied it, and then, what did you hear? I'm like, they said in the news that from tomorrow we cannot use questions no more. It's like, what? Why? I'm like, I don't know why. They just want to see how it's going to be without questions. But even I cannot question. And I'm like, you're already questioning too much, and from tomorrow you cannot do that anymore. And I said, yeah, to you too also. And then he said, but how will they know? I'm like, yeah, good question. I'm not sure how will they know, but if they find out, you're gonna have to pay a fine. You're gonna have to pay money, because I know he's into money and saving. And I'm like, with this, I'm gonna kill questioning once and forever. So he stays and says, I don't care. I cannot do anything without questions. And I'm like, that's my boy. Alright, so maybe they will answer in that zone, yeah? That they don't want to live in a question like that. In a world like that. Are questions more important than answers? And we see here a graph showing the value of questions going up, the value of answers going down. And what this might mean, more recently, answers and specific knowledge, specific answer, it's not exists, it's everywhere, it's a lot of it, so you can find it in books, in trainings, workshops, blogs, etc. So it becomes a commodity, the answers become more commodity, and the real value goes from here there and goes to how we're gonna find this answer, what we're gonna do with them, how we're gonna build on them, and so on. So now, in order to cope with this new reality that we live in, where the collective knowledge that we have globally is growing on a very large pace, and we as individuals, we cannot keep up with this global knowledge. So then, it might be that we need to transition from early life learners to lifetime learners. And I think this is very powerful if we succeed to shift this mentality, to transit into that mindset of lifetime learner, because failures are just opportunities for us to learn. So we're gonna change the way we see failures and the value of failures. The end result, it will not be that important anymore, because we're in the process of learning, we're not in the process of becoming the ultimate experts. We'll never be there. We're gonna be lifetime learners. Alright? Okay, so going now on this idea, let's just for the sake of this page, assuming that questions are important. Now let's see what is the value that they hold. So there's another story, quick one. A father and his son together, and the little boy starts firing a machine of questions to his father. Why that? How? What? And why? And what? And his father is answering a bit, but then he just gets annoyed, let's say, and he says, "Stop it now! I don't know anymore. I don't know how to answer." So, and besides this, I never. I never put these questions to my parents. Huh? I never bothered my parents with so many questions. And the kid says, "Well, Dad, if you might have done that, you might have been able to answer more of my questions." And there is a truth in this, because questioning is the most basic form of learning. Questions are the places in our minds where answers will fit. So we need to ask the question in order to be open and receive the answer. It's like a drawer. It's like a drawer. You need to open the drawer first, and then the answer will have its place to fit in. Because you know that saying, you cannot learn something until he's ready. And I find it true from time to time. And why is that? Why can you learn someone until he's ready? It's because he needs to be ready. He needs to be able to open that drawer, so the knowledge to fit in. Okay, innovation. I mean, probably a lot, if not all of innovation, in its process, it has a lot to do with questioning, and there are a lot of examples of innovation that really, I think, they use a lot of questions in the process. I mean, just think of Polaroid. I mean, it started from a day when the girl of the founder asked him, "Daddy, let me see a picture that he just took," to her. He just shot, and Dad said, "Yeah, but it's not ready. We need to wait like 2 weeks." And the girl said, "Why do we need to wait?" And that was the beginning. Why do we need to wait? And what if we wouldn't have to wait? well then the whole developing room should be in a camera. Now think of that, and then all the process to make that. How can they do that? And then a few years later, the Polaroid machine that actually was doing all that. All right. Problem solving. We all know about a lot of questions in problem solving. How important are questions to clearly define a problem and understand why is that a problem and so on. The 5 why method that goes into the root of a problem and so on. So if we think about Colombo, the great detective, no? He was solving his mystery, his cases by using a lot of questioning. So they were all great detectives in the real or fantasy life. So critical thinking, I mean, thinking in its basic form is what we do all day, is the process of asking and answering questions. Now, if we look only to this, yeah, so like learning and innovation and critical thinking and problem solving, we see all this mixture of the skills of the future, and we see questioning playing a big role in the base or foundation of each of this. But even if we go further, and actually this is why I feel such a passion about questions and the power of questions, because I believe that questions really shape the quality of our lives. So I believe that there is a relationship between the quality of the question we ask ourselves and the quality of our lives. And if you think about it all day, that's what we do. We answer, we ask and we answer questions. So a question could be the most powerful, demotivating or motivating force in our daily life. Events happen to us, and for those events, we give a meaning, and with that meaning we form a perspective of the world, which is a reality, our reality, and then we get to feel emotions because of that reality. But we're in control of all that through the usage and the art of questioning, because we can reshape that at any time. Alright then, so in this talk, the message shouldn't be that questioning is the whole deal. I mean, questioning is not the whole deal. It's questioning, questions plus answers. It's questions plus actions that give you all the ones I talked to you before. So it's not questioning alone. Questioning without the actions is more like philosophy. The questioning is not the whole deal. Also, questioning is not a size fits all. I mean, it's just a vision that I have and how I see the world that I wanted to share with you. And I'm here today because I'm following my mission question. It's not my mission statement, because I believe a mission question could be more powerful. And which is, how can we improve our questioning so that it will improve our life quality, and how can we share this with our children and the world? And finally, for you, if I would to have a call for action, I just leave you with this: ask more than before. Thank you.